Little extra shake. Come on.
A little closer, wanna feel the fire running off your kiss. Ooh, honey, you move like water. Ooh, honey, you're certified dime.
Come on.
Ooh, honey, you're turning me on. Never miss a beat, you're right on time.
This
juke and jive, whoop and holler, cut up a rug. This is your song, pass me the jug, pour me another. We're gonna shake till the morning comes.
Low budget live with a little different intro right there this morning for Monday, November the 29th. Low budget live, not so live from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill and kicking it off. Sound like a radio DJ. Cooking it off right there. My buddies, the Vagabonds. Yeah, that's their song Juke and Jive from their album Sinners and Saints, their newest album. Came out in September, I believe. But they the band you've been hearing me talk about. Me and the boys are going to be joining them on December 11th, Columbia, Tennessee at the Mule House in beautiful downtown Columbia, Tennessee. If you're anywhere close or if you're not close and you feel like road tripping, tickets available at themulehouse.com. And I promise you, it's a really great venue, all ages show. It's going to be a good time. The Vagabonds, go check them out, man. If you like Southern rock, they got a lot of albums. They are road warriors, great live band, great songwriters, and really dig those guys. Been knowing them for quite a while, several of the members, and good folks. So looking forward to December 11th. And they told me, they're like, hey, we give you permission to use some Vagabonds music. So no Biloxi Blues this week, and I'm digging it. Got me juking and jiving this morning. Hope you're all doing well out there, you bunch of low-lifers. And if you're just joining this show for the first time and you're like, what's a low-lifer? This man has insulted me. Well, that's what the faithful and loyal listeners of this here podcast refer to themselves as the low-lifers. So we appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Thanks for watching and commenting last week's Trey Swindle episode. That was it was a lot of fun. The goal this fall, we're headed into the winter now. Let's be honest, it's almost December, but the goal is to have more people here in the LBL Bar and Grill. It's tricky between my schedule and a lot of people being very busy, but that is the goal. I want more people in that seat right there. It's a good time, man. It's a really good time. For me, I think the conversations are a lot better, and I enjoy it a heck of a lot more. So thanks for the support on that episode. Hope you all had a absolutely amazing Thanksgiving. I know we did. Lots to be thankful for. This year's been crazy. Y'all been with me on this ride. It's been up and down, and it's always something different, I feel like, all the time. But lots to be thankful for, man. We got everybody together, my family, Marissa's family, the Triple Threat, and all the kids and under one roof here at the Duncan household for Thanksgiving, and that was it was a good time. It was much needed, and enjoyed it. Spent a lot of time in the woods with the boys. A lot to be thankful for there. Ryder Man got his first deer and made a great shot. Got him a doe, so we're gonna be eating good here around the Duncan house, thanks to Ryder D finally getting it done, because I can't make it happen this year. I'm struggling, and Hudson has been having some of my luck too. He's been seeing some really good deer and hunting by himself for the first time this season, and he can't sell the deal either. So we are striking out. My eyes itching, man. I don't know. I just share everything with you people, but my eyes, like, I don't know, something weird. If you're listening to this instead of watching, you didn't get to see me poke into my eye, just, digging around in there. But really thankful this year for everything, and just spending time with family, man. I've been in the woods with the boys, been hanging with the crew, and we've been, if you like music at all, and I know a lot of you are really into music that listen to this, go watch. It's long. It's hours and hours of footage. I think it's like 9 hours total that they've put together. Peter Jackson put together. It's on Disney Plus, but the Beatles documentary, Get Back. If you like music at all, it is very, very, very cool. And it's It's very interesting. It's going into their last album when they were like tensions were high and they hadn't played live in 3 years. Really, really interesting. So really good holiday watch. Go watch it. You know, you're sitting around the house. It's cold. Fish aren't biting in some places because y'all's water's frozen up or whatever. So, yeah, check it out. But really good Thanksgiving around here. Hope each and every one of you had one as well. All right, something we are always thankful for here at LBL and the Traveling Circus are our sponsors and make all this possible each and every week. So we got to mention them. First and foremost, StarTron, the oldest, the OG sponsor, if you will, of Low Budget Live and Luke Duncan Fishing and Luke Duncan's Traveling Circus. All the craziness the fine folks from Fort Lauderdale, Florida have been helping me along the way. And StarTron will help you kick ethanol right in the teeth. Get it out of your weed eater. Get it out of your UTV. You're out there hunting right now. Maybe you're storing that bass boat, changing, swapping up a little bit to go into the woods, leaving the bass boat. Protect your investment. Drop some StarTron, a little dab will do you, in the tank, in that bass boat. If you're going to store it longer than 3 weeks, think about that before you store it. Protect your investment. Kick that ethanol in the teeth. Ethanol will absolutely gum up the works. No bueno. You don't want that. So StarTron will help you out. Weed eaters, chainsaws, lawnmowers. Thank God my lawnmower will be stored for several more months. Right there. Little dab will do you. Little dab will do you. Don't buy ethanol-free gas. You ain't got to do all that. StarTron. StarTron. You shake the bottle. You go get some of it. Tag me up. A lot of y'all been doing that. This bottle treats 256 gallons right there. StarTron. Feel like I need some kind of laser beams. StarTron. Something cool like that. I don't know. Y'all listening out there, Corey, Starbright, StarTron, give me some sound effects. Bigger budget. Like Lil Trey said, medium budget. We need bigger budget live next year. Bigger budget live for sound effects. Oh, me. Simms Fishing Products. Makers of quality outdoor gear like the Pro Dry rain suits, like the Solar Flex hoodies that are going to be packed away for a while now that it's colder than I don't know what at my house. But we're going to be wearing them Simms, man, them hooded flannels. That's the move. I gotten on this hooded flannel jacket program. A little fleece lined inside, man. That's the move. That's the move. But they got all the gear to keep you warm right now and the gear to keep you cool and protected from the sun. If you're lucky enough to be, maybe you're dipping out to go to the Bahamas. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones that gets to dip out and go spend the holidays somewhere else. Get you gaggle. Yeah, you like that? A gaggle of Simms clothing at simmsfishing.com. And remember, you get one life. Fish it will. Pro Guide batteries. We appreciate Pro Guide powering up the Express X21 and bringing you LBL this year, 2021. You can get yourself some of those Pro Guide lithiums if you use code LBL10 at checkout at ProGuideBatteries.com. I appreciate each and every one of you that do that. It certainly helps the show, and it's going to help you in the long run because you ain't going to have any battery issues. I have really enjoyed running the Pro Guides this year. Look forward to it for many years to come. And last but not least, hang that freaking banner right there, baby. It's like a championship banner. Hang it right there. Express Boats, the official boat. Low Budget Live and the Traveling Circus, the X21, powered by the 250 Yamaha Show. With the C deck, with the Garmins, with the power poles. Get it all in there. We will. We will. Absolutely love the boat. Unfortunately, it's sitting idle right now because we're in hunting mode. Like I said, got StarTron in the tank. And look forward to getting it out. So this winter, because of the craziness, normally all fishermen I feel like that you follow along with, everybody kind of tends to upgrade, which is a funny word to use when you're talking about brand new boats. And my boat's 10 months old. But in the fall, I typically sell my boats and you get ready for the next year. But due to just insanity, unprecedented times in the marine industry, I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until the spring I do have a boat on order, but I'm probably not going to take that boat probably not going to get it till the summer. So I'm going to be selling my X21 next spring. So pay attention. If you, looking for a used express boat, a little over a year old with some warranty on the motor, that'll be next spring. But for the first time in a very long time, I'm going to have my bass boat here during the winter. So I'm going to do some winter fishing, get this deer hunting out of my system. I'm going to be going and taking the X21 out in the cold. I normally don't fish a lot because I never have a boat. I'm always in between boats between, December and January especially. I'm always out of a boat, but this year it's going to be locked and loaded. So looking forward to getting the X21 out in the cold, going and live scoping some big ones, hopefully. Some big brown fish, I hope. But we appreciate each and every sponsor of LBL. All right. Got a good guest today. Really good guest. Looking forward to speaking with, and we will get there. First, I got to say congratulations to Logan Parks and Tucker Smith, them Auburn boys. They won $1 million. They won $1 million in that Bass Pro Shops tournament out there. That's crazy to think about, $500,000 each, boat and truck each. All of a sudden, they're the most popular kids on campus. Look at us now. Fishermen, when I was in high school, when I was in college, it was like, what's up, nerd? What's up, fishing nerd? Now you come rolling in with that $500,000. Man, all of a sudden it's like, Bo Nix who? Down in Auburn? What? Get out of here. The boys are here. Very cool to see those young dudes take that home, and really cool trophies. Really cool event overall. It's I was critical of it when it first started, and it's still there's a lot about that deal. It's just funny to me the word amateur being thrown around is very funny because guys like Logan and Tucker, maybe not pros quote on their resume. These guys fish a lot. They're great fishermen. There were a ton of great fishermen in the overall 350 boat field. But Bass Pro and Johnny Morris, they throw a shindig. I've been to several events out there that have been hosted by them, and it's always a show. There's no doubt about that, and this was certainly no exception there. Shout out to Little Saxton Long and Austin Clanton from my hometown. Man, they were in third place after 2 days. They ended up seventh on that final day, and really thought they had an opportunity to win them a cool $1 million. Good fishermen and good dudes there from my hometown, and I think that this event, we'll see where it goes in the future, man. That's a lot of money. Of course, Johnny has it, and Bass Pro Shop certainly, they spend more than they spent on this deal, sponsored NASCAR, one race probably. But I got to think they threw a lot of money at this deal. And, and it's all for show, and it's all for, under the thing of the guise of, supporting the people that buy their boat brands. So when you own all the boat brands, I think where this could have a negative impact, this is just my take, where it could have a negative impact down the road is if these tournaments are bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I think this puts the squeeze on Bassmaster, on MLF, the other tournament trails that Bass Pro Shop sponsors, because why do you sponsor something else if you can just have your own event that everybody supports, and you need that marketing, budget to go towards that. So I think, maybe that won't happen. I hope not, but, Bass Pro Shop's obviously very involved in a lot of tournament trails, from BPT to the Bassmaster Opens to the Elites, sponsoring a lot of pros. So be interesting to see how it all shakes out, because I have heard that they are definitely doing it again next year, and Johnny's not going to not give away another $1 million. I was like, it's just never going to happen. He certainly likes to be the star of the show. There's no doubt about it. And speaking of show, I tried to watch the 2-hour pulling for my boys, Saxton and Austin. I was watching Laker Hal. Randy's son made the final day there, and I was trying to watch it and keep up a little bit, and it was just terrible. Like it was 30 seconds of guys catching a fish, and then 15 minutes of how great Johnny is. It was just 2 hours of Johnny Morris is one of the greatest humans to ever walk the face of the earth. It was just like, man, it was obnoxious. And when you're buying airtime, I guess you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Do I think it's awesome, the entire event? Absolutely. But I do wish that the guys that actually made it to the final day would have been showcased more than they were. I bet Logan and Tucker don't care about that because they got stacks of cash, and that's fine. But I was real frustrated because I really did. I wanted to watch them. I wanted to watch how they, figured out Table Rock. And it was it just wasn't that. Out of 2 hours, if they showed 20 minutes of fishing, I would be really, 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 really surprised. Really surprised. I thought Rob Newell and Lurch did a great job with it. Saw my buddy Travis Moran on there. I thought they did a great job. I just thought the overall fact that it was just a 2 hour commercial, which is why they had the tournament. I understand how marketing works. It was just, for me, from a viewer standpoint, I didn't like it. My wife was sitting on the couch who knows nothing, the triple threat. She's out on all this stuff. And she's like, holy crap. Because it was just, after a certain point, it was like, how many times can you say Big Cedar Lodge? Or then Johnny got his start. Then Johnny donated this. Then Johnny did that. This is all it's about. This is all it's about. And that's fine. But it was just kind of funny after a while. And I thought, well, am I just too close to the situation being in this world that I think this is obnoxious? And Marissa's just like looking at me like, is this serious? Because she was sitting on the couch trying to see some folks that we know fishing too. And she's like, there's no fishing. It was crazy, man. But I think everybody that was there really had a good time. Obviously, I've seen a lot of posts. And like I said, there's no show like a Bass Pro Shop show. And those properties out there are beautiful. And it's very, very, it's neat. I've been out there several times. It's definitely an experience, but I thought the show was lacking, to say the least. All right, one quick thing before we jump into this guest appearance right here. Got a text. Hang on, we got a delay. From our guest. They said, 10 more minutes. So more rambling. This is one that I was fixing to just rush through right here. But now we can just do whatever we want, guys. We can do whatever we want. Cox Watch. I had several comments last week. Cox Watch. The old Elite Series roster came out, and John Cox Watch. Pew, 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 pew. This is our last Cox Watch of 2021. Pour some liquor out. My man was a juggernaut. He freaking fished all over the country. Fished BPT, the pro circuit, probably in a bass club, some Tuesday nighters, and he fished the Elite Series. DQ'd from one of the Elites, still made the Classic of Lake Hartwell. One of my favorites going in to win that Lake Hartwell Classic. That's at a dangerous time of year for him, in my opinion. But on the Elite Series roster, brings up a lot of questions. A lot of folks have. I haven't talked to John about this. I've talked to John a lot lately, but we haven't talked about this. I don't think he'll be doing BPT next year. I think that's obvious. And if that's been announced anywhere, I'm sorry. Probably has been. I've been in a deer stand. But I think it's fair to say he's not going to be fishing BPT. I think he'll fish the pro circuit, and I think he will fish the Elite Series. It's just too much, man. And I think that John definitely, he did well in the BPT format at times. Really, really, really good. But I think that the 5-fish deal suits him. I think he's got some other reasons for fishing the pro circuit that I won't announce here. He's got some buddies that might be fishing. We'll see. But I just think overall it's just too much. It's just too much for anybody to try to pull that off. And he certainly did it. Somehow only had the one kind of hang up, and it was the DQ that we talked about on here. And some people liked us talking about it, and some people didn't. Imagine that. But whenever he fished the BPT at St. Lawrence and then was DQ'd from the Elite Series, still able to make that Classic he got in, man. So I just think as long as the classic is the classic, I just think, man, if you can be on the elites when you're at that level, if you have that opportunity, I think you got to do it. I think you got to do it. And I think John's right there because it is so hard. We say this every single week. I feel like this is just a broken record, but it is so hard to get back. It just is. Now, a guy like John would probably make it look easy and just waltz right back through the opens, I'm sure, but it's not easy, man. It's not easy. So I think when you're there, you got to absolutely seize it, and you gotta stay there. And I think that he was, and I said this on this podcast, for me, Bass, I didn't agree with the DQ just because I feel like, I don't know. I just felt like there were different ways to handle that. He knew the rules going in, granted. I think it was portrayed to him that it would be okay, or maybe John misunderstood or whatever, but it's water under the bridge now. But I said at the time, I think Bass needs John Cox, and I do. I really do. He's just a great guy and obviously an amazing angler, and I'm glad to see that he's gonna stick with the elites. And if he had to drop something, it was BPT. I think that, it's just too hard, man. It's just too hard fishing all those. And I think there are conflicts on BPT and elites. And had he not made the classic, would his decision have been different? Maybe. But I just think that fishing the classic and all that, obviously BPT conflicts with the classic this year, which I think is a really dumb move, but whatever. And John wouldn't have been able to compete in the classic. And I just think you always are going to pick the classic. In the sport of bass fishing, professional bass fishing, you're always going to go to the classic. Always going to pick the classic over just a regular event. I think you have to. You absolutely have to. So that means BPT will be calling somebody up. I don't know how that process works because I don't understand how any of the process works when it comes to qualification. We've talked about that to death. I'm not real sure who gets that call now to call up and go to BPT to take that spot. Of course, unfortunately, with Aaron Martin's passing, there'll be 2 spots now with John and then Aaron. So not sure who we'll see. You could probably figure it out by looking at the points list, but like I said, I don't understand how that's going to work out. So there'll be a couple pro circuit guys obviously get that phone call to go on up to BPT. Still not sure on entry fees. Haven't heard what the entry fee plan is BPT wise. They started with no entry fees, then they went entry fees, but I've heard that they're going to be reduced to some degree, but they're letting the anglers vote on it. I'm not sure. Get a lot of DMs, a lot of questions, comments on that all the time, guys. I don't know on that. Might reach out, but I think they will be paying though. I think that it's from what I've heard, I think they're definitely going to be paying. Definitely. So you're gonna have a lot of those guys fishing pro circuit paying $5,000 an event or whatever it is, $5,800 now, because they raised those pro circuit entry fees by $800 and something bucks. Took some out of the payout. Not real sure about that deal, but they did that, and then so some guys are going to be fishing both. I think you got Jordan Lee's going to be fishing the pro circuit next year, mixing it up with the pro circuit and BPT. So I don't know, man. There's lots of moving and shaking going on, just like there is every off season. I think for me though, I get a lot. Man, do you think a lot of guys are leaving BPT? I don't. I think that at the first of this year, the potential was there for that to happen, and then I think they ironed some things out for some guys. And some of the folks that I know that were upset and were going to, try to leave, they're staying. They're definitely fishing. And again, it all comes back to what are you going to do when that's how you make your living? And a lot of fans are passionate about this that don't like MLF or whatever. They think these guys can just walk away, but man, it's not. You're just not going to waltz back into the elites. And if you can't, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just go fish the opens, man? It's a risky move when you've got. I mean, we saw with Prosnick. That's why I think I titled the episode with Prosnick. He risked it all for the Bassmasters because he did. He didn't have that Legends exemption. He couldn't just walk back in, and he qualified. And, man, risky move. You saw that with Hackney. Of course, Hackney still had the option. He didn't walk away from BPT, but still you saw it with Hackney, you saw it with Christie. But freaking Porosnik definitely put it out there. So guys I think you'll see some BPT guys in the elite, in the opens from what I'm hearing. A few are going to fish. But I don't know, man. I think if you're there and you're kind of on level footing and you've got that platform and it's certainly, you're fishing for big money against big names, I don't see a lot of them risking it to go to the opens. I mean, I just don't, unless their sponsors say they need to. But I just don't think that'll be the case. Speaking of the opens, full. Again, 3 freaking divisions, full. So much pissing and moaning about the schedule from so many people online that probably would never fish one anyways. But so many people were mad. Full. Say it with me. Full again. For anybody that wants changes in the up, people are like, man, they don't pay. Man, they don't do this. Man, they don't do that. Full. A friend of mine, I got in the Southerns barely. Got in at 9:25 the first day and barely got in. Barely out of 250. And a friend of mine entered the next day and got an email. He's 137th. Say that with me, kids. 137th on the waiting list in the Southerns. So, again, quick math. And I went to county school, so don't crucify me on this. 250 in the event, okay? 250 in the event. He's 137 on the waiting list. That's almost 400 people that signed up to fish the Bassmaster Southern Opens. And there probably is over 400. Last year, I think it went into the hunt, like in the Centrals. I had buddies that were like 150 and 160 on the waiting list at Pickwick. So I think I'd love to see those numbers. They would never release those, I'm sure, but that's just from, talking to folks. But holy crap, 400 anglers trying to sign up, man. That's the power of the Bassmaster Classic, in my opinion, because most guys are like me. I'm not trying to get to the elites, but I do enjoy, I love the opens this year. I had a great time. It's the first time fishing in a long time. Really looking forward to fishing them again next year. And on the chance that you have this great week and you were to beat these guys, you go to the freaking Classic. You got to fish all 3, but you go to the Classic. So I think it's just that carrot, man. Because I think out of 400 and something folks signing up, most of them don't, I won't say most, but like there's probably less than half that want to fish at that next level, I would say. The number I would like to see is how many sign up for all 3 divisions. How many are we going to have? That, and we'll be able to figure that out shortly, but I'd like to see that number. How many sign up for all 3 divisions? Totally insane to me. All right, that rambling segment was brought to you by Caffeine. This is a Bay by Boost drink here, and it's got, it says right here, plant-based energy, enough caffeine. Let's see. As much caffeine as a cup of coffee, and I believe it right now because I'm all over the place. I probably said something that'll get me in trouble. I'm sure everybody picks this apart. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today has been on here before. We stirred up some folks, especially some mom's basement dwellers, some little trolls. Really kind of just lit her up, to be honest. And she is an amazing person. She's an amazing angler. She's one of the hardest workers in the entire fishing industry, in my opinion. She goes by Midwest Fisher Gal there on the IG. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, angels. Let's get her on the phone. The champ.
What's up, buddy?
Kristine Fischer, what's up? How are you?
Not too I'm doing well. How about you? How was Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was really good. My kids were like, "Hey, Dad, why can't you get a kayak and win 35,000?" So I really appreciate the pressure.
Oh man.
You set the bar really high. They're seeing all these posts, these cool fish trophies, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, why don't you have one of those?" I'm like, well, I'm not as good as Kristine.
Well, I mean, you could be. You get the invitation's always on the table for you to get in the kayak and see what this is all about.
Hey, I really I watch your videos. I watch a lot of like Ryan Lambert. I see these guys, all you guys out there doing this, and it's mind blowing to me. And I think we talked about this the first time you came on. Just the overall strategy that goes into this, because, and I think when we talked the first time on here, it's like, yeah, you don't have that option of, well, let's crank this 250 and run another 60 miles because it's not going down here. And you have to just get in an area and dig in.
You really get to see that area's full potential, like that little flat on Pickwick. You know, like that whole area. Like I was able to manage those fish. It kept reloading, and like bass boats would come and hit it and leave, and then I'd catch like a freaking 4.5 pound smallmouth. So it's wild.
Yeah. So at Eufaula, was that your winning area? Was it just basically one area? Did you have to move around a lot, or when you found those fish?
I had to move.
Oh, you did? Had to keep moving.
I actually did for Eufaula because it was 3 days, and Luke, that lake was fishing like unprecedentedly tough. Like I think it was there was a local bass boat tournament there the weekend before our 3-day event. And there were like some legit hammers. A couple of the guides were fishing it. I think it took like 12.5, 13 pounds to win it.
Wow.
It was fishing very tough. Bites were few and far between. And so I found an area that I honestly probably could have milked a little harder had I, but I'm thankful I did it the way I did. I fished all new water. All 3 days.
That's killer. That's a pro move. I think that I heard somebody say, well, it was actually Trey Swindle last week on the show. He said there's one thing he's learned in the Bassmaster Opens is you can't fish the same area twice because, and just in all of them, because of the pressure and things like that. And that is so hard to do as a tournament angler.
Yes. Yeah, it really is.
It really is. Pull it up and take off, man. I mean, and for you in those situations, because I am a kayak, I'm a dummy. I enjoy kayak fishing, but I'm way too lazy. And I know you guys have these tricked out. You got live scope now. You're Miss Garmin. I've seen your videos, but how far? So when you're talking, I'm going to make a move. When you go to move, how far are you going from where you launch your kayak a lot of times? Just depends on where you're at.
It all depends. For me personally, I really like to look for that stuff that I always talk about, that like overlooked water, that B water, the stuff that's a little tougher to get to. So sometimes I'll go, if one way 4 or 5 miles to get to an area.
Wow.
That's few and far between. I'd say the average is a couple miles. But then during the TOC, I actually loaded up and relaunched 3 times on day 2. So I actually loaded my kayak up, drove. I was ramp hopping because I was just running a pattern rather than fishing spots. Like I knew what I was looking for at that point, and I had pre-fished enough to know certain areas that set up how I liked, and I just went and ran a pattern, ran my pattern that was working really well, and just covered a ton of water.
It's incredible to me. I like I say, I'm fascinated by what you guys are doing in these kayak events. Now, for the folks that listen, I've started keeping up with this stuff just like any other tournament trail. And you guys, of course, go by length, but you only get to weigh 5, or excuse me, not weigh, but count 5 fish per day, correct?
Yes, correct.
And it's all catch and release, which I think is really cool as well. But I'm fascinated by this Tournament of Champions. Now, what are the criteria? What's the criteria for getting to the Tournament of Champions? Is that a points-based thing in the Hobie series?
Yes, it is. There's 2 ways to get there. So we have in the Angler of the Year race and Hobie series. I mean, there's hundreds of anglers that fish that series.
Right.
Hundreds of them. And so they took at each open, and there were 8 or 9 opens, I believe. They took the top 3. And those events average about 135 anglers per open. So to get a top 3, not super easy.
Not at all.
No. So it took the top 3 of that. And then after those spots were filled, it took the top 20 in Angler of the Year, which is your best 3 events. And then plus the TOC goes into Angler of the Year. So yeah, it's extremely difficult. I mean, so essentially it's the top 50 in this series that fish this championship. And like I told everybody, I mean, just qualifying for that Tournament of Champions in itself is a huge accomplishment, just to qualify. It's quite literally like the best. Like all of our best anglers, you know, some of the ex-Bass Boat guys that did really well on the West Coast that now fish kayak tournaments, they're there. They're all there. I mean, you're fishing against the best in our sport.
That's awesome. And you had a 3rd place finish at the TOC before, right?
I did, yeah. That was and out of Knoxville, and I thought I was going to win that one. I would have bet my life on that one, but yeah, I came up a little short on that one. But yeah, I got 3rd in that one last year, so that was a huge thing. That was a huge accomplishment too. I was very proud of that.
So, with this win though, and I think that I read your post the night of, it would have been day 2, going into day 3, that if you won the event, you were going to win AOY. I think I said on the podcast, congrats to Angler of the Year, and I think that I announced that wrong. Somebody probably wants to stab me over that, and that's fine. that's just normal. Yeah. But you did not win AOY with the win, correct? Okay.
Nope.
And how did that shake out? Because I think by your post, and I need to go back and look, but I thought that's kind of where we were headed. Is like if you won, you had it locked. I had a very, very, very good shot of winning Angler of the Year. Things would have had to, you know, get pretty wild for me not to, and they actually did get wild. Okay.
The guy, there was one guy that was actually, I think, 4 points ahead of me coming into the tournament. He was sitting in like 11th, and I was sitting in 12th in AOI coming in. Okay. And he was in the top 10, or he was in the top 6 going into day 3, and I was sitting in 3rd. In the last 5 minutes of day 3, he caught a 5.5 pounder that cold like 9 inches and ended up getting second. He thought the crazy thing is the guy that the leaderboard showed Ron Champion in first place. Ron, when the leaderboard showed off, he was ahead by quite a bit. He was crying. I mean, he was tearing up at the ramp thinking he won. When Jordan Marshall had that huge coal, he knew he jumped Ron by like 3 inches.
Kristine, I think I lost you. Hey there.
I got good service. Yeah.
It just went silent for a second. I got you back there now.
Okay.
So Jordan knew he had jumped Ron.
Yeah, so he thought he won the TOC. I mean, he was convinced that he won it, so that was pretty emotional for him. Well, it actually put Jordan in second, and I had to beat Jordan by 2 spots to win AOI. And so he would have ended up in like 7th or 8th overall in the TOC, but he jumped all the way up to 2nd. So
unbelievable. So he finishes 3rd, your AOI and the champ. And the Tournament of Champions. That's insane. But you know what? I bet that $35,000 check, I bet that was okay, right?
It was, yeah. And I got another $3,000 for 2nd place Angler of the Year, plus a Hobie World spot. So I mean, it's okay. Angler of the Year is just and if I'm being totally honest, though, I think winning Angler of the Year over winning, like the Bassmaster Classic, I think what Steph Fighter did is way more badass than winning a classic. Because you know what I mean? That Angler of the Year thing is so much more prestigious, in my opinion, than winning a champion.
It's cliche to say at this point, but you have to freaking catch them at every event or nobody even can see. Yeah. No, I said that on MPFL this year. Our schedule was so diverse. Everywhere we went for 6 events, I'm like, I kept telling Fat Cat, I'm like, the guy that wins AOI in this thing is going to freaking earn it, because you're at Pickwick in July when it's just miserable, hot and tough, and you're in Florida, right, Patman Lake that most of these guys hadn't been to. We went to a lot of really different places, to be honest, at different times of the year. And And I said that, I'm like, man, the guy, and it's no different on the elites, BPT, wherever, pro circuit, kayak, wherever, if you win your bass club, if you win your points, you've earned it because you have to catch them consistently. And I'll say this, when I was growing up, my dad and I were actually talking about this weekend. When I was growing up, we used to, and I think this was a Guido Hibden legendary quote back in the day, Big Guido. But Guido said, if you catch 10 pounds a day in 5-fish format, if you catch 10 pounds a day every day your tournament career, you'll win every angler of the year ever. And in the 90s, that was probably true. Now, I think that average weight, and I would love to see this from like the elites, like Seth's the year. I think the average is like 17 pounds now.
I think it is.
Really? It's got to be.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And that's thanks to the advancement of electronics,
doubt.
like Garmin and forward-facing
No
sonar
doubt.
and all these things. There's the fish that were once almost uncatchable are catchable now.
Yeah, they don't get up there in those zones where we always think they do, right? Or where we thought where we thought for years, oh, well, they're on this transition and they're doing this and they're doing that. No, sometimes they just get out there in the middle and get away from us. But now we can track those fish down. So I've got a really important question for you, and this is more important than anything I'm ever going to ask you. Are the Turnpike Troubadours going to get back together?
I knew it. I knew that was the question. I almost stopped.
It's really the only reason I had you on this week is because I saw the rumor flying around.
Well,
I'm your tournament. That's cool.
Didn't I text you that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I texted you as soon as I saw it, and I was like, Luke, what is this?
I had several buddies of mine sent me that, and they're like, "What do you think?" Because apparently their website says something kind of menacing, like it could be coming back.
That's exactly, everyone said go look at the website, because at first when I started getting people texting that to me, I was like, stop teasing me. This is such a terrible, it's not even fools. Like, leave me alone. This is a really sore subject. Well, I went to the website, and sure enough, it's alluding to the fact that there might be a Turnpike Troubadours resurgence.
I think that, listen, anybody that keeps up with music, and so many folks that listen to this do, and they love bands like Turnpike and a lot of the Red Dirt stuff, and they kind of get off the mainstream path. But all music for years, bands break up, man. They go through, man, people lose their minds a little bit. They might have to go to rehab, right? Like, stuff happens, right? And they get back together. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it happens. I've been watching the Beatles documentary, Get Back, with my kids on Disney Plus. My boys are obsessed with the Beatles. And which makes me a really I have succeeded as a father, I feel like. But they love songwriting and man, it happened even to the greats, right? They didn't play live for years because they hated each other. There were so many things. So I think that we'll see those guys put it together. I just think there were some demons there, and that happens, man. When you're in and out of every club every night, you know what I mean. And I just think that Evan is one of the greatest songwriters of my generation. And I think that people miss it, to say the least. So that's the end of the interview. Thanks for coming on. And
I knew that was the only point.
It's the only reason. It's the only reason. Yeah. Because this is one of the first things I noticed when I was going to have you on the first time, and I'd gotten to know you a little bit, but I was going through social media. I'm like, wait a second. She fishes in a freaking Turnpike Troubadours hat all the time? Now, wait a second here. Like, that's pretty cool, to say the least. So you always got your tunes going. Tournament of Champions week, what was the song going to launch the kayak, like day 3? Did you have one? Is there one that sticks out to you that you were rocking, or were you just going random playlist?
I'm so big into that random playlist.
I am too.
I really am, because I feel like, and the weird thing is, Spotify actually ruined this for me Spotify Premium. My friend got me a gift card to that, and when I had it, it's almost upsetting because it took away the element of surprise in the playlist. Because I can't, if I want to hear a song now, I just go to it, and I'm not super jacked up when it pops up. The one that was playing on day 3, the Mercury was playing. That song always gets me going.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pick me up. I do know that one. That one hit. I've been listening to Zach Bryan a little bit.
I like
lately.
Zach.
I do too. He's not like a get me going type of guy, but I wasn't a very calm and collected state of mind those 3 days. And so I wasn't all jacked up or like running on adrenaline or anything. It was very odd. And I think that I can attribute that to how well I fished, which is kind of strange.
Well, I think a lot of really great tournament fishermen, I've heard them say that on this show many times right there. I was just calm. I wasn't panicked. And I think that's the number one thing that gets us in trouble as tournament anglers is right there between the ears. When you start to panic, that's when things, but that is a common theme on this show. I feel like from the winners of a lot of events is, well, I was just calm. I got up the last morning. It was just good. And I think that is so key in this sport because. But
it's so hard to maintain it. Like how do we take that calm and harness it? Because it's like one tournament you feel that and you're in that element. And then like the tournament before for me going into our other national championship, on day one, I was a mess because I was in contention for AOY in that series as well. Yeah. And I completely spun out, and was able to come back day 2 and day 3 and salvage a check, but I completely took myself out of AOY with my day one.
I think the way you harness that is you just got to get the bites. And I know that's easier said than done, but the events that I am the most, in my over all the years fishing tournaments.
What if you're not getting those bites until?
That's what I'm saying. That's when I panic.
Yeah.
That's when I panic. And I think that's when everybody panics. I will tell you what helped me with that more than anything though, is kind of always fighting the demons in a tournament day, regardless of how it's going, was when I fished co-angler. And what did that for me, you never knew when you were going to have an opportunity as a co-angler, right? Because your partner could be, you learned it. Yeah, you drew out with prize there. I want to talk about that too, because you got to see him right there in qualifying mode out there at Grand. But depending on how your partner's fishing, you just never know when those opportunities to get a bite are going to come up. So I would really, and it took me a while. But the most successful year I had fishing co, I think I checked like 5 out of 6 tournaments, won an event, made the Forest Wood Cup that year. But truly, it was a matter of patience because looking back now, this is what I try to tell my kids when we're fishing tournaments or anybody that reaches out, like what's the number one thing? And I think patience is huge because there were so many days where at 1 o'clock, I wouldn't have one. And had I just said, well, my partner sucks. You know what I mean? Like there's so many, you hear co-anglers say that a lot. Like, well, I didn't get a good draw. And that is reality at times. It is reality.
At times.
At times. But it's you against the other co-anglers, and you got to figure out a way to catch them out of the back of the boat, regardless of the situation you're put in, right? Like, and I would see, like on day one at Lake Eufaula in an event we had in like 15, I caught 2 with 5 minutes to go, a 3-pounder and a 1.5-pounder. The next day, I ended up finishing in like the top 20 because I caught a good back. But had I just been pissy and said, well, this guy front ended me on these brush piles all day long. But when the opportunity came, I caught 2 fish. Didn't seem like it at the time. I was still mad when I got in, like, well, I didn't catch a limit, didn't do my job. But the next day, I come back, had a great event. And that event alone taught me so much. And I do. First day at Smith in the Open was terrible for me. Catch 1 fish, had a fantastic practice, had been down there putting in the work, but I still wasn't frustrated, right? Even right up until the last guy, I wasn't because I thought, you know what, you just got to stick with it. But I think that's the magic. That is the magic deal in tournament bass fishing is somehow, and like I said, right there at Smith Lake, well, it didn't work out for me, but my mindset wasn't bad, right? Like I'm proud of that as an angler that I don't let myself go down those rabbit holes. Now I will after an event. Don't get me wrong. I'll have some long drive home there, Midwest Fishing.
Right. Yes.
I can have
with you.
some very long drive home. But I think that's the key is just always staying in it. But it's easier said than done for sure for most folks. But I see folks spin out constantly on the water, whether it's just buddies, fishing and you get to putting it on them a little bit and you just watch them spiral, whether it's fun fishing, whether it's tournaments. But it's certainly the magic ingredient, I think, to all this. But I do got to ask you that on the co-angler side. I had that in my notes here. So you only got to fish, what, 2 of the 3?
I fished 2. Yeah.
Central Opens.
Smith was rescheduled. Smith was rescheduled. Yeah. I couldn't make that. But I did fish Pickwick and then Grand Lake.
And you, had great draw. You had the tournament winner at Pickwick.
On Pickwick, yep.
Yeah.
On for the first day.
For the first day.
Second day. Yeah, second day wasn't not as good, but and then I had Prosnick on for Grand Lake on day 1.
Yeah, I'm going through the photo gallery because I had to leave that event because of an emergency and family deal and
I saw that.
yeah, just terrible deal. But I had to leave the event, unfortunately, and I'm going through the gallery because I keep up, I got to, and Prosnick's one of my buddies, and I'm going through the photo gallery the first day, and I'm like, hey, I know her. She's right there having to stare at the back of his head while he throws a buzzbait all day. But that's a joy. So how was that? Did you take anything away from that experience with Jacob? He's right there. Was he stressed trying to get it done, or what was that like?
If he was, I'm a very intuitive person, so I read body language really well, I like to think. And I could tell that he was, there were some nerves there.
Yeah.
That he did. It was impressive that it was impressive how he managed and concealed them. And we went to this first spot that, damn it looked so juicy, especially for a topwater, and he didn't get bit there. And, he remained fairly calm, went to his second spot, and he started catching them pretty quick, just like it was clockwork, just like he planned it. And I think when you've got an angler like Jacob, who is so mechanically sound and so confident in his abilities, he had fish all over that lake.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was really neat to see somebody with his, and I'm so happy that he qualified for the elites, because after watching him fish, I fished with, I've had 4 of those guys now, being a co-angler in 2 events. I haven't seen anybody cast at docks the way he does.
He's something.
And break down a dock. Trying to fish docks behind him was a nightmare. I would almost rather be a co-angler in anybody else's boat fishing Grand Lake than his.
Wow.
Just that for the fishing perspective, because he doesn't leave you anything. He is so dang good, and it was like inspiring to watch. So I was freaking very proud of myself for getting 3.
And that's huge.
Get a lot of, it's huge.
And that's the limit on the for those listening. That's 3 is the limit for co-anglers in the opens, and so and on Grand, 3 14 inches were hard to come by for a lot of people that week.
A lot of people, but Jacob he would make the same cast, and he could skip. And the crazy thing, he was skipping a chunk too, which is not super easy to do. I watched how he was doing it though, and it made a little more sense. And he was just so precise with his cast, and he'd make the same cast several times before then and moving on to a different section. It took him like a pretty good amount of time to fish one dock.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So seeing him attack a dock, that kind of taught me a lot, and watching the way he would cast and where he would cast. It was honestly very similar to how a lot of kayak anglers do it and what they look for on docks, which is kind of cool. But definitely not easy fishing behind that dude. He's a freaking animal.
What did you do to make an adjustment to, did you catch your limit off of docks that day, or did you have to, get off the bank a little bit? What did you do as a co-angler in that situation? We got a lot of co-anglers that listen to the show. I get a lot of co-angler questions. What did you do that day?
So he was fishing a jig and a shaky head exclusively. So I was fishing weightless, either wacky or a Texas rig stick bait, just like the co-angler's creed. And I would try to, a lot of times I had, you have a very, very small window to make a cast, and you better make sure it's a good cast. And I just got fortunate that he made a couple casts at one little piece of brush, didn't get bit there. I skipped a Senko way back in there, I soaked it, for the time that I got when he was fishing the front of the stock, and got a fish off of it that he'd already fished. So just fishing a little differently than he was, letting, fishing something weightless, the fish a little more time to see it. I did get bit on a boat ramp that he had fishing just a little bit differently. And then my last cast, I skipped it under a dock that I'm not sure he might have made a couple casts there with the jig, but again, I was fishing that weightless stick bait and ended up catching my last one. But I just had those 3.
I think that is, it's impressive to me, just because the Grand's so freaking tough that time of year anyways. But fishing behind a guy like that who has all the pressure on his shoulders in that time, and you're able to catch a limit, I think that is always.
I was very, very proud.
Oh,
very proud of that.
It's awesome. And I think that for co-anglers listening, the number one thing is don't do what the
they're
guy in the
doing.
unless they're catching one every single cast and it's like an open water grass bed situation, and they're
open water grass, and they're fishing a chatterbait, and you're able to fan cast a chatterbait. Then that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But when you're fishing docks or you're fishing brush, I mean, it doesn't make sense to do the same thing if you're fishing behind them.
Yep.
You want to give those fish a different look. And my day 2 guy, he wasn't fishing docks, but he had one little cove he went into, and as soon as I saw him fishing, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to catch fish, like immediately. And I did. I caught 2 fish on the first 2 docks.
Wow.
And then we got out of there just because he wasn't fishing it like Porosnik.
Yeah.
He was fishing the edges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was just fishing the edges of the dock. He wasn't getting it up under them. And so I caught fish under the first 2 docks we went to, and then we got out of there, and it was the deep brush, back seating type of thing, which is totally fine. The guy was great. Had a good conversation, but I didn't get my 3rd fish that day. So I barely squeaked out a check in that one.
But and that is a tough situation. But like I just said, whenever you get those opportunities as a co-angler, you got to capitalize on them, and that is how the consistent co-anglers always do it. Well, speaking of that, I'm going to put you on the spot. Last time you were on, we caused a lot of trouble. And I don't want to do that today. We did, and we didn't mean to. And it was like blown out of proportion by people that should not have even been stirring the pot, but they were. And it was like, what in the hell just happened? Like it was
a dang dumpster fire.
It was for a couple days, and I was like texting you and apologizing, like, listen, I didn't think we were going to get in trouble. I had a great time talking to you, but here we are.
The words were taken out of context.
For sure.
And then twisted a little bit.
That doesn't happen on the internet.
No. If anyone would have just listened to what I said, nothing I said was even remotely offensive.
No, not at all. Not in the least. But that being said, you've been doing the co-angler thing, Tournament of Champions. What are your plans for 2022 and beyond? Because you were talking when I had you on the first time, you're like, I think I can do it. I think I can get there. Are you starting to get, like, now that you've been in the opens, you're as a co and you're looking around, you're kind of sizing things up. Mm-hmm. The success, your decision making is only getting better. On the kayak side, what are you thinking? Are we gonna see you on a trolling motor? Are we gonna see you in the opens next year? What's next? You got that 35,000 burning a hole in your pocket. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's been the famous question in a lot of these podcasts.
I'm sure.
In the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of the elite guys and some of the MLF guys reach out and kind of push me to see what I'm doing. And I, first of all, I mean, it's just, I'm grateful for the amount of support from all of you guys that, are encouraging me and trying to get me into the boat world of things. But
don't you put this on me.
Yeah.
You're doing it to yourself.
I know. It's really tough for me because it's like on one side of it, I'm doing very well right where I am. Mm-hmm. And, but I'm not the type of person that's content with just doing really, really well where I am and not ever trying to reach any higher. The whole thing for me, and now seeing how the opens are kind of laid out, and the competition is ridiculously tough.
Very much.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. That challenge and just going in there and doing it. It's just hard because in order for me to jump into the opens, I would want to spend, a good 6 months strictly working and fishing some working mans in a bass boat. And in order to do that, I'd have to give up a lot of the kayak stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I fish 20 kayak tournaments a year and mix it in with a couple of opens. It's like, how can I make this? I'm trying to just figure out how to make this transition. I mean, and if I really... And
you want to do both. I get it. You don't want to give up this kayak world because I get it. Yeah.
I really do love it. It's done a lot for me. The sport's incredible. The people are good. My overhead is so... I know what some of the guys... I have friends that fish the opens for years. I know what their bank accounts look like.
No doubt.
And I'm like... gosh, my overhead is, I'm actually getting ready to do a YouTube video on how much money kayak anglers make.
That's awesome.
And I've got this whole, and it's going to freaking blow people's minds when they look at the money some kayak anglers are making, and then how little our expenses are.
No doubt. And look, I want to say this because, like we mentioned at the first of this topic here, things get taken out of context. I am in no way saying when you going to get out of that kayak fishing and get into the real, you know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody to think, because I have nothing but respect for what's going on in these kayak events. The more I dig in, like I'm if I was confident that I could, not fall out, and drown or something, or not pass out from exhaustion trying to get to a spot. I think that I would really enjoy it. But I just know you are the kind of person, I feel like this is fair to say, that is conquer the world. And I feel like you are a hard worker, and you want to get your message out there, which is, hey, work hard. It doesn't matter to a fish which gender you are, who you are, what rate. Like, you are definitely that person, and I feel like you want to get that in front of as many people as possible in the fishing world.
Right.
I do feel like that.
Let me ask you this, though. And this is one of my holdups before getting into quote unquote basketball world. Right now, as it sits, I don't feel like I have a job, and I love to fish. Between tournaments, what am I doing the very next day after? I'm fishing. You know what I mean? Like, I love the sport so much, and it brings me so much joy. And I've seen it happen to guys and girls actually that are fishing the opens, and it's so draining in every aspect that they start really not liking fishing.
I get it.
And
been there.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So
I've been there.
how do you overcome that for somebody like me that's looking to get into this, but has the fear of losing the love for the sport?
For me, I'll just be completely honest. At the end of 2019, with all the business stuff going on with MLF buying FLW and all that, well documented on here, and I had a off and on year, to say the least. I had some good events, some bad events, but at the last one at Champlain, I was so mentally spent on tournament fishing. And had a lot going on business-wise with TH Marine and different things. And so I set it down for 2020. And and for me, fishing is an addiction, like you're saying. It always has been.
Yep.
Without tournaments, without this podcast, without YouTube, like, I'm still going fishing. I'm going to go fishing as much as I can in life. Like, that's just always me. If I'm next to the beach, I'm going fishing. If I'm next to a stream, are there trout in here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I like catching everything. Like, I'm not just a bass fisherman. I'm just a fisherman. And I've always been obsessed. But I will say that FLW, like, it did that to me. It did that to me because then it gets to be more of a business. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a careful balance there. But for me, 2020, when everything just kind of shut down, I don't know. I just got obsessed again within like 2 months. Like, took a break, but then I started fishing that winter, started fishing a little bit in the early spring. And then I fished more in 2020 than I had in a very long time. And where it got for me during those FLWs was I would work, have an FLW. I would fish the FLW, come home, work. And I wouldn't fish when I was at home. Like, I wasn't fishing because I was having to do so much to go to those events, to be honest, and to make it all happen.
Right.
But taking that break for me just reignited it. And that's why this year I was like, hey, I want to fish the opens. It's 3 tournaments. They're spread out. I can feed that competitive. And for me, it's a family. Like, I love seeing everybody at the events. I love the process of practice. You got the chance, obviously, if you have a great week, to go to the Classic. But for me, that's kind of perfect. But you have to be all in, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I get that fear of, and I know I didn't answer your question by saying that, because for me, I think it's different for every person. You look at a guy like Jacob Wheeler. Jacob is obsessed with not only being the best, but he fishes every spare moment that he gets. It doesn't get to him. He is that guy. He can pull that off. For me, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be Luke the tournament guy and Luke the always addicted to fishing guy. Like, it was taking away from it for me at that level. But I think that You're somebody, I honestly do not think that it would become that for you, though. I just don't. I think that.
Yeah, and I don't either. That is one thing that kind of concerns me a little, though, because I want to, every free second I get, if I don't want to go fishing, there's a problem.
I'm with that. And I am very much there again now, and got that way in 2020, and I'm very proud of that. And that's what I try to say all the time with it. Listen, you take all this away that I do and the business side of it, like, I'm just going to go fishing. Like, me and my boys are going to hook up to the boat or go stand on a creek bank, or we're going to go to a pond or whatever. We're going to go fishing. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I got that back because and that's just me, like I say, and that has nothing to do with if I had won 6 FLWs in a row in 2019, would that have changed my mind? I can't say that. You know what I mean? Of course, it makes you be like, oh, this is great. Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing ever. But at the same time, it's still, I wasn't fishing. Like, I fished more when I was 19 than I did when I was on the FLW tour. That doesn't make sense, right? Like, you need to always be on the water. And I was finding I was fishing less and less and less and less and less. And focusing more for me, I got too caught up in, like, the business sponsor side of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I did. And this is what I tell young kids, like, get obsessed with catching bass. Don't worry about all the other crap. The other crap will come. It'll all fall into place. Yeah, it'll all fall into place. And I was the opposite of that when I was fishing FLW. I was very fortunate to have sponsors that I was making money and a good bit of money, whether I was cashing checks or not. And people were like, oh, you suck. And I was like, well, I mean, it's okay. And I think that kind of takes away from the hunger of wanting to be out there as much as, you know what I'm saying? Like, that security blanket is not always a good thing. And I had that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good thing. I think that the people that are out there that scare me are the people that don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? And they don't, and they're scratching by us all. Like a guy like Dustin Connell coming up. Oh, yeah. Which now he's very successful. But I'm saying, like, I remember that dude just going tournament to tournament to tournament to tournament to tournament, weekend after weekend after weekend in Alabama, winning, back seat full of trophies, go to the next BFL, go to the next weekend series, go to whatever.
Just fishing everything and anything they could. Yeah. Just they're hungry.
Yeah, and those guys are dangerous. And I feel like you're the same way. You're saying, I put the kayak in the truck, and I'm going to try to catch a muskie. But you keep your skills, like, rolling all the time, and that makes you very, very dangerous. So, I don't know. I think that is and I see it in the comments, and we will on this episode. People say, yeah, man, I had to quit fishing tournaments. Just guys, hey, I was fishing team tournaments with my buddy, and I got burned out on fishing because of it. Because it was just too much. It took away from the joy. I'm just a fisherman, and there's nothing wrong with that. We put so much emphasis on the competition side and all that, and obviously on this show, it's what we talk about a lot. But just love fishing. I think that is, as long as you love it, and I think to compete at the top level, you got to be obsessed.
You do.
You got to be obsessed.
I love to compete. I mean, I think you do too. Like,
I love it.
I can't see myself. I really do think I will always fish tournaments, regardless of the vessel.
Too.
Like,
me too.
I'm always going to fish tournaments. I freaking love it. I'm addicted to that part of it too. I just want to make sure I don't want to feel like it becomes a job, if that makes sense.
For me, any bad finish is not because so-and-so beat me. It's always that I didn't figure it out.
You beat yourself.
Yeah. I always, I pride myself on the puzzle. And, like, there's no better feeling in fishing than when something starts clicking. And it's like you said, you're running your pattern, and you go, if I do this on these channel swing banks with this, you know what I mean? Like,
get bit.
That there's no better.
You know it.
And it's just like that light bulb. Oh, it's a drug. It's a drug. And I'm telling you, like, and catching fish, catching random big fish, that's cool. But for me, it's like, oh my gosh.
Being dialed.
Yes.
You're really dialed.
Yes.
That is like a drug. That's
is.
A perfect way to describe that. When you are so dialed that you can get on that lake and you know exactly what's going on. That is a powerful, powerful feeling.
It is. And it's one that you can't explain to people that don't. I've got buddies that fish the same lake every time they go fishing all year. Nothing wrong with it, but they don't pattern fish. right? They fish
They're fishing a spot.
That's right. They a lot of our guys around here, they fish below the tail race of the dam, and it doesn't change a lot. They catch them on the same rock piles, whatever. But I enjoy that. I would rather go catch 12 pounds tomorrow on Table Rock Lake fishing a pattern than catch 25 on my home lake fishing the same rock pile fish my whole, if that makes sense. And people probably say, you're crazy. But that's my drug. Like if I roll up and go, oh, water temperature's 52. Oh, the shad are here, the blah, blah, blah. This time of year, this should be going on. And when it starts going on, nothing feels better. Nothing feels better.
I'm 100% with you on that.
That's awesome. So basically, I rambled about all of that. You didn't tell me what you're doing in 2022, and
did you see how I carefully
we talked about you just avoided it, and then I just took over and started rambling like I do on most shows. So 2022, you're not doing anything. You're retiring for kayak fishing, and you're just going to fun fish. That's what I got out of that.
Yeah, I took up crocheting. I think that's going to be a really good thing.
It's going to be a big business.
Yep, if the wife needs a blanket or you need like little hats.
I'll tell Marissa for Christmas. How quick are you? Can you get it done in a couple weeks?
Oh yeah, yep. My turnaround times, couple.
Are you on Etsy? Now. Is it bad that I know what an Etsy is?
Yeah, I don't even think I know what Etsy is.
My wife sends me Etsy stuff. Okay, I've ordered customized
Is that
gifts.
like a Pinterest? Is that what that is?
I actually think it's more like a marketplace to buy like custom goods. So you probably need to learn about Etsy for your new crocheting company.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a terrible business owner.
You don't even know. So, all right. One last thing. I'm going to go back to this. Are you going to fish any opens as a co or a pro? Any boat tournaments next year? Are you going to fish the Bassmaster Kayak Series schedule? Looks really cool. It's really spread out. Hobie again. What are you doing? Let's hear it right here. LBO.
I am going to do all three of the, Bassmaster, Hobie, and KBF, all three of the big kayak tournament trails. I am going to fish a handful of opens again as a co-angler for next year.
All right.
And there is a possibility. Are you familiar with the Texas team trail?
I am indeed. It's vicious.
Very, and I love it.
It's like the Alabama Bass Trail. They don't play.
Yes.
They don't play.
Oh, yeah. You want to go get your teeth kicked.
It's easy to do. Yeah.
Yep.
It's easy to do.
Fishing guys, those Texas guys, the Texas Hammers are just,
they're just waiting.
Unreal.
Yep.
Yeah. I have been wanting to fish that for a number of years now, and I think that I might jump in that and fish a couple team tournaments, where I can get up and run the front of the boat just to start. This transition is happening, Luke.
Okay, it is happening.
I can't tell you what the end goal is, but there are things that are changing for next year.
Awesome. Well, the end goal is the Bassmaster Classic. You said it here. You stirred up a hornet's nest, so you better make it.
Yeah, I know. God.
You got to get there at some point. If it's 20 years from now, I don't care. We're going to do a podcast where we're like, we told you, suckers. It was going to happen.
Hey, if I could be the female Rick Clunn, that'd be an honor.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really
would. I'm a little behind him, I think, now, but I can, I'm going to try to play catch up.
I want to see a Rick Clunn Midwest Fisher Girl collab kayak event. I want to see that. That would be epic.
That would be an all-time dream come true. Rick is one of those anglers that I've followed for a long time and have just just like everybody else.
It's incredible.
I have a crazy amount of respect for
him. He's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, other than that collab, we need the Luke Duncan in a kayak, try not to fall out, Midwest Fisher Girl.
You said Fisher you were going to do that last year. There were 3 kayak tournaments on your home lake.
I know.
No conflict. I'm
and then you finished second on a spot that's close to an area that I really know that I've never made a cast at. And I was like, I would have got my teeth kicked in for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You were like, dude, I found this place. I'm going, I don't like you right now. This is incredible because I know the gist of where it's at, but I'm like, seriously? Okay, right on. I learned something there, and that's always what happens when events come to your home lake, though, right? Like it does. Yeah. People uncover things, and you certainly did. I was like, really? It's like, way to kick butt. I'm texting you, like, dude, you won't believe what I found. I'm like, okay.
I was blown away how good, and nobody was fishing it. It was so overlooked, but I think. Look, there's so much pressure on that lake, and my normal winning spot's down by the woods, and there was 150,000 bass boats there, and I said, screw this, we're going up in the river. I'm going to look for stuff that no one's touching. And
You
that
did.
spot was magic.
You
It was
did.
straight up magic.
It was very impressive. I was like, your map study, all the work you put in,
Yeah.
whether it's social media, YouTube, the prep work for the tournaments, you deserve it. I'm proud to know you. I text you that after you won. I appreciate you coming on and on a late Thanksgiving, post Thanksgiving weekend, and I appreciate you. And I'm pulling for you.
I appreciate you too, buddy.
Very
Thank you. It's
much.
always a pleasure.
Awesome. Hey, I don't think we stirred up any hornet's nest today, so
Well,
maybe Monday will be okay for you.
I didn't think that we did last time either, and then the internet blew up. So at this point, I'm just not even.
I feel like somebody's
anymore.
they're probably gonna take certain sections of this and just piece it together,
And
make
paste
us
it
like
together and make me. Look, I got
Kristine Fischer says all women suck.
Women don't belong in the professional fishing scene.
She's done with the kayak world forever. Moving on. There'll be something that comes up.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
Oh, mate. Well, you have a lot more podcasts to do. I have no doubt, and that's what happens when you're the champ. That's what I said this week, and I look forward to running into you down the road next year.
Absolutely. I'll probably see you at some of the Opens.
I'm sure. I'll
right,
see you soon. Thank you, Kristine.
Yep. Thank you.
Kristine Fischer, everybody, right there. She is she's awesome angler and a hard worker. Make sure you're following her. Social media, second to none, man. I really feel like she's the hardest worker in all of fishing right now. I really do. I said that earlier this year. She really, she's just a fish head. She is. She's obsessed. She fishes every spare moment that she gets in life. And of course, and most of it out of a kayak, and it's impressive. Whether it's muskie or bass, she really she's dialed, man. She's dialed, and I appreciate her giving us that time and just having a conversation. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining in here for Low Budget Live. Don't forget, I'm going to keep on saying this. I know a lot of you do not live in this area, but if you are close to Columbia, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. It's just south of Nashville. If you want to come in, some of you low-lifers, it would be awesome to see you. We're going to try to do a ticket giveaway, I believe, maybe the week of the show and through my social media and stuff. Get some folks down, but it would be fun to see some of you on December 11th. Tickets available at themulehouse.com. I'm going to take you out with a song by the Vagabonds that I really dig. It's one of their older songs, but it's called Shaky Hands. Very cool tune. And be sure to hug your mama. We sure miss mine this Thanksgiving. This is 2 without her, and I am failing miserably at gathering up everybody and getting everybody in one place like she always did so well. But hug your mama. Take you out with some Vagabonds. Thank y'all for listening. I'll see y'all next time.